Okay. Kim Nunn wouldn't have talked for a half hour. We've been on time, but we're running much unfinished business. Any unfinished business before the meeting today? Any new business other than what we've talked about? If not, I have two introductions I'd like to make. Every year, Thumb Electric sponsors one or two people to go to Washington youth tours. This year we had two representatives, Jasmine Warchuck and Pearl Dashkin. Girls, okay, they're going to talk to you for a couple minutes on your experience.
Okay. So I was selected to go on the Washington Leadership Conference, and I don't know if you all know what that really is, so I'm going to give you a basic introduction to it and what we did over the couple days that we were down there. So what it is every year the Thumb Electric Co-op selects two individuals, and they send them down to Washington to talk with representatives, and you get to tour Washington. So on the ride down, we stopped at Gettysburg, and we got to saw the monuments there. We watched a documentary about the battle, and we learned about the advantages that the Union had over the Confederates. And then, so it was basically like a rotunda. So it was about this size, only make this tent a circle. And it was a 3D painting of the whole battle, and it was really kind of epic to see, I guess, because it was 30 feet high, and somebody hand-painted all of it. It was pretty extraordinary. And then we went to Fort McHenry, and we had a flag talk about the original flag, the lady that knitted it or sewed it all together, and then after, when it was retired or whatever, the dude or the man, the general that took it home, when he had company over, he would let the company take little snippets of the flag, and so eventually the flag got to be smaller and smaller until they retired it and put it in a museum, which I thought was pretty interesting to learn about. And then the different monuments that we got to see, we saw the Washington, the National World War II, the Korean War Vet Memorial, which I thought was pretty cool because the way they had it set up, they had it so the shadows looked like more soldiers, because at the time they weren't allowed to put as many of the soldiers' statues up. And then the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. Also that day we went to the Arlington Cemetery, which was kind of a humbling experience because just the mass amount of graves, and you just kind of like stood in silence because you couldn't really comprehend all the people that gave their lives to serve such a great country. And then we also saw the National Cathedral, which is humongous. So you walk in, and there's at least 12 different rooms that are dedicated to not only like Christian beliefs, but also other beliefs as well, which is very considerate. And then we also saw the outside of the White House that day. That night, we went back to the hotel, which was filled with other co-ops and their representatives, and we went to an RECA meeting where they talked more about what co-ops can do, and they had individuals who had been to the Washington Leadership Conference before come up and talk about the advantages. I know the one person there said she got a scholarship, and she was able to go to college because of it and get a better education. And then we also talked with a motivational speaker. There was two of them, and the one that I remember the most, he had been playing with a gun as a child, and he had been shot, and he had been paralyzed. So instead of letting that get him down or stop him from accomplishing his dreams, he instead went to play on basketball and win a lot of Olympic medals for it. Tuesday, we had congressional meetings, and we met with representatives, and I know other kids talked to them about legislative laws that we're going through, and this was during the time of like school shootings, so that was one of the major concerns for them. And then we also saw the Library of Congress, and the House and Senate Gallery. That night we had kind of like a cultural experience because we had Thai food. Many kids had interesting perspectives to say about that, and then we also saw a play. Then the following day we had a going away party, and we got to trade pins while we were there. And each state had their own different pin, and the more you collected, the better. And then the last day, we had a Pontiac cruise where we got to see the George Washington State and all of the different buildings there. Okay, that's it.
tradition in order for your innovation to have integrity. This quote brought together the ideas, thoughts, and sights of Youth Tour for me. Cooperatives are deeply rooted in tradition. This doesn't mean that they do not keep in time with the world around them. Actually, electric cooperatives in particular are very forward-thinking. Being rooted in tradition means that we appreciate where we came from, and we use the lessons learned by those before us to build upon and expand. The first Youth Tour was held 61 years ago, an idea started by Lyndon B. Johnson. The 1958 Youth Tour brought 34 youth from the state of Iowa to DC to learn about their roots. Now, 61 years later, almost 50,000 have experienced this amazing trip. In 2018, 43 states were represented by over 1,500 of my peers. It was incredible. Generations have been impacted by this experience. Personally, Youth Tour helps me to understand my roots. It brought the Google Maps and searches to life. I saw for myself these historical sites where people fought for freedom, spoke about a dream, and were honored for their sacrifices. This connection to history and these roots of tradition need to be remembered as we plan for the future. You must be deeply rooted in tradition in order for your innovation to have integrity. How do you demonstrate integrity? For electric cooperatives, integrity is shown every day by how they serve their customers. With their roots in tradition, electric cooperatives understand and honor the lifestyles of rural America while continuing to offer more and more innovation. Hello everyone, once again my name is Pearl Bascom and I was the 2018 to 2019 Michigan State Youth Representative. What you just heard was part of a speech I wrote as a youth rep. To become the youth rep, I participated in the Michigan Youth Tour along with Jasmine and was elected by my peers to represent the Great Lakes State and Thumb Electric in Washington, D.C. and at the NRECA annual meeting in Orlando, Florida. As we're here today, there are over 2,000 youth from across the country in DC for the 2019 Youth Tour. 43 of them are going to become state youth representatives. When I was selected as the Michigan Youth Rep, I was very excited, but I had no idea how much the experience would impact me. When I returned to DC to meet the 42 other youth reps, we all became friends very quickly and found that we had many similarities being from rural America. While in DC, we met with the CEO of the National Rural Electric Cooperative Association, with employees from Cooperative Finance Corporation, learned about the importance of voting, especially in rural areas, and we also got to do some touristy things like visit the National Harbor in Maryland. From the minute we all got back to our own states, we were counting down the days till Orlando. When the day finally came and we arrived at the annual meeting, we couldn't wait for all of the exciting opportunities and experiences we were going to have. While we were in Orlando, we spent most of our time helping out with the annual meeting. This included everything from working the co-op's boat booth to helping set up for the international luncheon. As youth reps, we had the chance to speak at the main session and share a little bit about where we came from. Personally, my favorite part of the trip was getting to carry the Michigan flag for the annual meeting's opening ceremony. It was so cool to see co-op board members from all across the country so excited to see our group of youth that were there. Many times we would be stopped by a group of people calling out different states to try and find their youth representative and take a picture. I was excited to meet with members of the TEC board, including my District 2, my Sanilac District 2 Director, Mr. Brawlett. Even though we thought we had very busy during the meeting, we did get to spend a day exploring Universal Studios, which was very fun. Without Thumb Electric and the NRECA, I would not have had this incredible experience and grown to love the cooperative business model as much as I do today. I highly encourage everyone going into their high school sophomore and junior year to apply for this opportunity when applications open for the 2020 Youth Tour. For more information about Youth Tour, can be found in the Country Line magazine, and if you have any questions, I'll be around afterwards. Thank you.